John, it looked like you were off to another one of your great starts at Youngstown, moving the ball well on your first drive. You hit Dallas Goedert. He's inside the 5-yard line, and then he coughs it up. How much did that play change the complexion of the game?
You know, I've been asked that question a bunch, and who knows, because you got 60 guys that are on the sidelines. You got Dallas, one of those 60 that we're in a hostile environment that gives up the ball. We preach to our guys to play in the present, good or bad. Go to the next play. And so ideally it did not affect us, but I'm sure at some point guys said, well, what if we'd have scored that touchdown?
I guess the reason I ask is because you were so accustomed to playing from in front. I mean, you hadn't given up a point in the first quarter. Now all of a sudden you're playing from behind in a hostile environment. And so I was just wondering if from that standpoint, it certainly was a different situation your team had been in this season.
It is, but I don't know if our guys, we preach so much, you know, don't pay attention to the last game, don't pay attention to the last play, all that stuff. The biggest thing that affected our whole football team, our entire football team, was our inability to get off the field on defense. Yeah. You know, and that's discouraging. It's motivating for the other team. That is where we fell short.
We talked last week going in that Youngstown had used a bunch of quarterbacks, and boy, did they need that, because all of a sudden Hunter Wells goes down and they bring in Nathan Mays off the bench, and he comes in and right away on throwing into that first drive, converts on a 4th down and goes in, and they all of a sudden get a touchdown, and he really gave them a spark.
He did, and he's a good player and had played a bunch of football. Probably, he had played more than Hunter had because of Hunter's injury. He's a winner. Hunter Wells is a winner. I talked to him after the game, and quality guy. I hope he comes back. I hope he gets to play this last year because he's a good football player.
Your offense, though, not rattled at all. They came right back down the field and converted on a nice 3rd and long, and Taryn hits Jake with a touchdown pass, and you feel like that at that point, okay, you've shown the response you need to show on the road.
We did, and we'd covered all their formations that were new for us on defense. You know, making minor adjustments. Felt like where we should have been in the football game. And again, I don't think that first play or the first fumble was affecting us at that point.
And then a whole lot of Tevin McCaster at that point. This is not a big kid, John, but boy, he runs like a big kid and really is not afraid to pick up yardage on the inside.
No, he ran really well. The real difference was their offensive line against our young defensive line. Mm-hmm. We could not get off of blocks. I mean, we had and then the running back was running through our arms. We couldn't grab cloth. I mean, not hardly any long runs, but just discouraging, powerful running inside the tackles.
You get some momentum right before halftime, though, because it looks like they're going to go down and punch in another score, and then they have a mental error, and they don't get out of bounds, and the clock runs out. So you had to feel at least somewhat decent going in, just down by a touchdown at halftime.
Score-wise, we felt fine. We felt, we can win this football game. Defensively, again, when you looked at the first half, the number of plays, the time of possession, there was a concern there. We never, we were bleeding. We were wounded, and we never bandaged. We never put a bandage on it. We never slowed the bleeding. You
said at halftime the defense needed to rise up, and you get a pick from Lorenzo Williams, which is the good news. The bad news is it's down in the shadow of your own goal line, and you give up a safety.
And that is so disappointing. We'd run the same play out in the middle of the field and gotten 11 yards. They even showed us where to run by sliding their linebackers over, and we run right at them. And disappointing. And I think in the panic, in the pressing, in that situation, just the young kid made an error.
You talk about panic and pressing, John. That was one of the things I was going to ask you. When you're out scrimmaged 86-37 in terms of plays from scrimmage, does that put more pressure on your offense to have to be perfect, really? And obviously they weren't. They turned the ball over a couple of times and had the safety. But when you only get the ball 37 times, how much more pressure does that put on your offense?
Yeah, we talked about that. Coach Agnes is our offensive coordinator, and he talked about, every play had to be perfect. You're not going to get the ball again, so you have to be perfect with every call and so on. And even with 8 minutes left, we march the field. We do throw an interception, but if we score there, we got a chance to win the football game. Even how poorly we played on defense, and we just don't get it done.
One of the areas you and I have talked a lot about is getting it done on first down, and that was one area where the offense struggled, is that was picking up quality yardage on first downs.
Yeah, and they're a good defense. I'm really proud of our guys. We didn't give up a sack. They had 10 sacks in 3 games. But you got to be better run defense wise. If every play is a pass, whether the score discrepancy or you can't run the ball, that's advantage defense, and you're not going to get 4 yards on first down throwing the ball. So we got to be better running the ball. That gives us better efficiency in first down.
And I know everybody talks about the 45 minutes of possession, but really that number is a product of 10 of 16 on third down against your defense.
That running the ball, controlling the ball, discouraging it 80-some plays to 37 plays, they all add up to we got our tails kicked.
So obviously you want to turn the page as quickly as you can on that. What's the confidence level, especially of your defense at this point, John?
We preach to our guys to play in the present. I've talked to them about it. Our coordinators, our position coaches have talked to them about it, about refocusing and so on, but I don't know what's in their heart. So I know they practiced their tails off yesterday, and that's all I can ever ask. And we'll see how they come out today, and we'll see how we play on Saturday.
Southern Illinois, Saturday night, the Hall of Fame game. The Salukis are 2-2. They've lost their last two. It's a young team, but a better team than last year. You had a shootout against them last year, 45-39. This is a balanced team. So far this year, 157 passes, 152 runs. Are you expecting that kind of balance against you on Saturday?
We are. They're very good in both. The 2-2 record is not, they should have beat UNI. Mm-hmm. They had a number of scoring opportunities. They were ahead of Memphis at one time, who beat UCLA earlier in the year. So this is a good football team, really good football team, and a really fast team. So I expect them to get the ball in the hands of their speed and see what happens come Saturday.
Connor Iwina, their wide receiver, had 107 yards against you last year through the air, so you certainly know what he's capable of.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's the whole package. He's got great hands. He's got really quick feet, and he's fast. And so, he can run the short route. He can run the wiggle route, the option route. Against linebacker, he can get inside you and run the post. And their quarterback does a nice job of making quick decisions. It's been sacked one time in 4 games, so really it's a good offense.
And Daquan Isom, their running back, was on the all-newcomer team last year. You didn't see a lot of him in your game last year, but this is a guy that, again, like McCaster, is not a big guy, just 5'8", 186, but is averaging about 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, he's pretty powerful for his size, but really fast, really quick. And the thing about that young man is he can go to his right and come out the side of the offense on the left side and not slow down. Unbelievable quickness and agility. And so we got to play with flat shoulders. And we've struggled with guys like this before because we're more plugger type, fill the holes. So we need to leverage the ball, and you're not going to get a big hit on the kid. Grab some cloth and get him down.
This is a team that is in the top 25 against the run and is better than last year's team, especially against the run. They've already forced 8 turnovers and gotten to the quarterback 12 times so far.
They're a good defense. I think the strength of their team really is their offense, but they're a good defense. They do some things that make you check plays. They go from a 4-man front to a kind of a 5-man bear front with 2-3s head up on the nose, and so it's hard to run against that. So our offense is practicing having to maybe adjust plays depending on how the week goes.
And when you have the number 2 punter in the country, we don't talk about special teams a ton, but the field position game could be a real key. When you see Lane Reason in action, is it just a big leg, or is it his accuracy in terms of where he's putting the ball?
They've always had a really good punter. They've always had good punting games. They've always been really good at not kicking it in the end zone, sky punt, get it inside the 10-yard line, and he's a product of that type of mentality. So he's a talented young man, does a really good job of getting the ball off, and they do, again, with their speed on their team, they cover really well also.
And I know one of the things you reminded your team about, John, after that game in Youngstown is this doesn't change anything. Our goals are still intact, and we can still do all the things we set out to do at the beginning of this year, and it all starts this week. It
does, and we've talked about that. Again, I sometimes you talk way too much when you experience a game like Youngstown. You talk about it, you put it away. If you ask your players to play in the present, put stuff away and refocus, and that will always be our focus. Be 1-0 this week and focus on the ultimate goals.